Hey folks, Kerry here. I got a call yesterday from some people that wanted a tour. Uh, they're staying at the Royal Hawaiian, and the concierge booked them a tour to Pearl Harbor, but then they wanted an island tour after that. So the concierge gave them my direct number, um, and they called me. And so, yeah, I said, they said, oh, we're not sure if we should catch an Uber back to Waikiki or whatever. And I said, oh, no, I can pick you up at Pearl Harbor. So I met them at Pearl Harbor. I got there early because I just happened to wake up way too early. And so I was waiting. And so they were picked up at 8:20 in the morning by Royal Star. That's the big gold 60 passenger buses. And so we figured that, sometime after 9:30 is when they would be done. So, 9:30, 10 o'clock maybe, they'd be coming out and then getting in with me in order to go do a Circle Island tour. Well, when Royal Star got them to Pearl Harbor, they dumped them into the standby line. I mean, the whole purpose of going with these companies is because they buy up all of the tickets, which then creates a shortage so that nobody else can get tickets. And then the only way to get tickets is through them, but people then book with them so that they know or think that they have a guaranteed ticket. But they get dumped into the standby line. And my tour told me that later the guy then came to them and said, hey, I'm not supposed to do this, but I actually have tickets. And they gave them the tickets, and the lady said, her name was actually on the ticket. It's like, why didn't you give me the ticket to begin with instead of putting me in the standby line? Well, it turns out that the ticket was for 11 a.m. So they picked him up at 8:20 in Waikiki. Pearl Harbor is maybe a 20-minute drive. And then it turns out that their tickets to go into the movie and the boat ride over to the USS Arizona wasn't until 11 a.m., which means that they wouldn't have been coming out until closer to noon in order to get with me to go do the island tour. So they thought about it, and they decided that, well, they could see the Arizona Memorial from the park itself. You can see it across the water. It's actually kind of pretty. You just don't get to go over and walk on it and see it up close. And so they decided to just skip that and come with me. Oh, and they said that they paid $70 a person for those tickets. So that was $140 that they paid for that ticket just to get picked up by Royal Star, taken to Pearl Harbor, and then dumped into the standby line, only to find out that their actual ticket time was 11 a.m. And then they didn't use the tickets. And then they came with me. So, I mean, this is a big problem that I wish somebody would address. That's the National Park Service. So it's run by the National Park Service. And years ago, I had a friend in Waikiki. He was kind of a muckraker, and he involved himself in politics a lot, and he knew the people like, what was her name, Allison Schaefer from the newspaper, and he knew all the news people and stuff. And so when I told him about what's going on, because what it is the tour companies, they have a back door, they have a password where they can go and buy these tickets that are set aside specifically for the tour companies. So it's like NPS Pearl Harbor sets aside about half of the tickets for the tour companies to buy, and they can buy them 2 months in advance, even before they have customers. They don't have to have customer names on these tickets. It's just a blank ticket that they pay $1. I think it was $1.50, but I'm hearing that it's $1 now, that they would call a convenience fee for booking it online, because it used to be that you would go down there and stand in line and you would get a physical ticket, like a concert ticket, that would have a time on it for you to show up to watch the movie and then get on the shuttle boat. But they don't give out the physical tickets anymore, and so you can't even get a ticket any other way than online. Like, even if you go there in person, instead of having a ticket counter where you can get a ticket, there's a QR code that they make you scan in order to get a ticket. So you still end up paying that dollar or $1.50, even in person on the day. And so they call that a convenience fee, but basically what it is it's paying the company that is running the website in order for people to get the tickets. So the tickets are essentially free, but you pay $1 to reserve them online. So these tour companies are paying $1 a ticket for these tickets. And then in this case, it was $70 a person to load up a 60 passenger bus and make one trip to and from Pearl Harbor. So they're making money hand over fist. I mean, yeah, it may cost you, $70 round trip by Uber, but they're doing this with, between 50 and 60 people. So, I don't know, they're making a lot of money. And the NPS Pearl Harbor is actually... So anyway, when I did that thing where my friend hooked me up with the news, he asked me, would you like to be on the news? And I was like, I don't know, but he convinced me to do it. And so they had me meet and bring my laptop, because as a tour company, I have that password to the back door too, but I don't use it because every time that I want to go on there and buy tickets, they're sold out. They sell out instantly. We have a meeting every year with the people at Pearl Harbor, and I told the guy, I said, I've given up on getting tickets because I literally can't get them. They're sold out in like less than a minute. And the guy says, oh, don't give up. Keep trying, keep trying. So I went home and I tried to buy tickets for the new window that opened up, because the window opens up exactly 2 months to the day from the day that you would want the tour. So I went on. There's a specific time that the tickets go on sale, and so I was on my laptop, had the page loaded, just ready to hit enter as soon as the exact time came up, and I did that, and they were sold out. So I took a screenshot, and in the corner of my laptop was the current time. So I sent him that screenshot, and I said, hey, look, a minute hadn't even passed, and the tickets were already sold out. I'm friends with another owner of a tour company who's friends with the owner of another tour company, so they're friends, and that guy told her that he has people in India that buys up the tickets for him. And I think they're not only buying the tickets that are available to the tour companies through the password that we have, but I think they're probably also buying up the tickets that the individual people could buy as well. And so they're creating a shortage of tickets, making it almost impossible for the normal person to get a ticket. They're creating a shortage so that the only way for you to get a ticket is through the tour companies. And then the tour companies are charging $70 a person. Royal Star, the lady told me that they paid $70 a person for that ticket. And Royal Star only paid $1 per ticket. And so I've seen some things where people have brought up an issue while talking to President Trump. And sometimes President Trump, when he hears about something, he'll be like, oh, we should look into that. And he'll turn to his secretary that's in charge of that department. In this case, I think it would be the Secretary of Interior. He might turn to them and say, hey, look into that. Let's see if we can get that fixed. So I Googled how to reach President Trump, and it gave me the website for the White House. There was a form. Basically you just type in your explanation, and I sent it off, and I haven't heard anything back. Normally they send you at least like an acknowledgement letter, but sometimes it does take months. But anyway, this is such a scam. I mean, this is causing the tourists who are wanting to visit the USS Arizona Memorial, which the tickets are basically free. It used to be free in person, but now it's $1 online. It's causing them to have to pay $70 per person to get those tickets. So the National Park Service at Pearl Harbor is basically encouraging the scalping of these tickets, and that is wrong.